I came home from work. I was a loan officer. I would get home, a little after dinner time because I would meet people when they got out of work. I walked in. I walked straight upstairs. I changed into my pajamas. I came downstairs looking for some dinner. And my kitchen was open to my family room. And my husband was in the family room laying on the couch, watching TV, drinking wine. Although I don't blame anything on that because everything would have happened regardless. But anyway, so I was looking for something to eat, and he started to yell at me. And I went in and started yelling back. I was not afraid. I mean, our relationship was not physical violence. It was about control. It's all about power and control, and it was about other various signs about emotional abuse, which I always want people to know because it eventually led to the death of my daughter. He was mad about something. I don't remember what. I mean, we had fights a lot, and he just was so mad, and he got up and he started to choke me, like literally had me against the wall, choking me. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, what do I do? And, it all goes so fast. And anyway, he let go. And I think he said, I know what I'm going to do, but I don't know if I dream up this stuff. And anyway, he left the room. I called 911, but then I hung up because he was a hunter and we had guns in the house. And, and I knew if the police came, he could lose those guns and then he would really flip out. So I hung up right away. And in walked my beautiful 17-year-old intelligent daughter, Olivia, who had been accepted to University of Vermont and was going to be leaving in the fall. And I'm sure she couldn't have been happier to get away from this house. And I said she was happy she was going to bake cookies that I love or something. And I said, no, we've got to get out of here. And she knew, I mean, obviously by 17 years old, you know what's going on. But so I went upstairs to change out of my pajamas. The police called back and she said, everything's fine, we're fine, because we were just going to leave. I went upstairs to change, to get out of my pajamas. And so after she took the phone call, I don't know if she hung up or she was still on I don't remember because they said, well, anyway. She came upstairs. She was leaning against the bureau, getting ready, for me to get out of my pajamas. And up walked my husband, and he had a gun in his hand. And that's when he shot and killed my daughter, Olivia. I was behind the bed. The bureau was over here, and I turned my face to go, because I went to go towards her. Initial reaction from my mom. And I think a bullet, what do you call it, grazed across my face. There's a little bit of scar tissue there because I was turning my head and he shot me again. And that's when the bullet entered my left temple. It shattered my jaw and now sits in my right shoulder. As the doctor told me once, had the bullet been in some different location, obviously I could have been murdered or I could have been blinded. So the fact that it entered where it did, I guess unfortunate, although I don't feel that way. Anyway, so police heard the gunshot. They came to my home and it was, I think my cleaning lady came that weekend and so it looked good. And it was quiet and the dishwasher was running. So they were like, we thought we had the wrong house. And then they went upstairs. And my daughter was still leaning against the bureau, standing up. And I had passed out on the bed and they got me up to walk me towards a cot or whatever you call it, and I could see her. And I kept trying to go towards her, and they wouldn't let me. And they put me down in the cot, and they asked what had happened, because if I didn't make it, they needed to know. So I told them, and then that's the last I remember. I guess I was taken to, there's a place the helicopter came down near my home, and they flew me to Worcester Trauma Hospital, whatever you call it, center in Worcester. And that's where I was. And my family was obviously called, and they came, and they didn't know if I was going to make it through the night. And the next morning, a doctor came out to see them, and they said, "Is she going to make it?" He's like, "Oh yes, she'll be fine," or however he put it. Like, in other words, I mean, my jaw was wired shut for a really long time, but maybe I wouldn't have made it. I've always been physically active, so that may have helped. I don't know. And I remember just thinking, my whole family came in the room to see me in the hospital room, and I couldn't talk. And I'm looking at my mom trying to say, "Is Olivia okay?" And my mom kept saying, "I don't know what you're trying to say," because I don't think my mom could say it. And finally my sister said, "She's gone." It will forever, it's forever a nightmare. It truly is a nightmare. I always call it my before and my afterlife. It is a nightmare. I survived.